Ladies and gentlemen, some big news. Glenn Simpson, we find out, was speaking to a top official at the State Department when President Hillary Clinton was there, Victoria Nuland. If you look at Paul Sperry's Twitter page, Paul Sperry talks about it, and it's pretty unbelievable. Why was Glenn Simpson speaking to this person? That brings Clinton even closer to all of this. But this is breaking. Glenn Simpson was talking directly to Victoria Nuland of the State Department during the 2016 campaign, tying Hillary Clinton closer to those who conspired against Trump, according to just released FBI agent Joseph Pietka's 302 summaries of interviews with Bruce Orr uncovered by Judicial Watch. By September 2016, the FBI and DOJ knew Steele was desperate that Donald Trump not get elected and was passionate about him not being the U.S. president, per FBI 302s, yet still relied on his Clinton-funded dossier to take out a warrant to spy on a Trump advisor and campaign. Number one, they knew, ladies and gentlemen, that the dossier was compiled by somebody who was hired by Clinton, somebody who worked for, so Christopher Steele worked for Glenn Simpson, Glenn Simpson met with Victoria Nuland, who was the press secretary was Clinton's press secretary at the State Department. So, Clinton's press secretary at the State Department, let's just look at Victoria Nuland Clinton, Brookings Institution. So, she was, if you look at her bio, prior to this, Ambassador Nuland served as the State Department spokesperson from 2011 to 2013, leading press relations for Secretary Hillary Clinton, conducting daily televised briefings, advising Secretary Clinton on public affairs, and traveling with her to more than 80 countries. Okay, you think she's close to Clinton? Why is Glenn Simpson meeting with this person? Okay, then you have President Trump, who has a new acting director of national intelligence. That's important. Not as important as the FBI 302s, but he's an acting director of national intelligence, Joseph McGuire, and so Sue Gordon resigns with boss Dan Coates. That's a great thing. Okay, you want everyone associated in any way with James Clapper not to be there anymore. But he has Joseph McGuire as an acting director. John Ratcliffe withdrew his nomination. But the interesting thing is, why was Clinton? Why was Clinton? Why was she? Why was Glenn Simpson speaking to Clinton's press secretary at the State Department, or person involved with press relations, who traveled to 80 countries with Secretary Clinton? Glenn Simpson is the guy that Mueller doesn't know. They asked him, you know who Glenn Simpson is? Huh? What? The Simpsons? No, I don't watch that. Like, no, Glenn Simpson. Glenn Danzig? I love that band. No, not him. No, good music, but no. The guy, Mueller was like completely clueless. But the interesting thing is, we now know that the guy who was hired by, the guy that Mueller doesn't know, allegedly doesn't know, who purchased the Steele or outsourced the Steele dossier on behalf of Clinton. So Clinton purchased the Steele dossier. The Steele dossier was complete and utter nonsense. Nothing was verified. Absolutely nothing. The Steele dossier doesn't make claims like, well, they interfered. The Steele dossier makes specific allegations that are nonsense. So that, never happened. None of these things happened. There was nothing in the Steele dossier that actually took place. Nothing. Carter Page, Papadopoulos, Michael Flynn, Manafort never worked with Russian intelligence officials. They never conspired. President Trump didn't have bodily fluids raining down upon him. That's probably Bill Clinton's dreams, or what he likes, his preferences. It has nothing to do with Trump. They used it. It was a nonsensical, irrational, bogus, fake dossier. It was a compilation of gossip and fantasy they used for a counterintelligence investigation. Then their rebuttal is, well, we didn't obtain Carter Page's surveillance, FISA surveillance. From that, we used Alexander Downer. Even more gossip and hearsay. Even more gossip and hearsay. Alexander Downer is linked to the Clinton Foundation. The Steele dossier was outsourced by Clinton. CrowdStrike was outsourced by the Democratic National Committee. So it's like, it's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. You have a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where the intelligence community was utilizing information purchased by Trump's direct political rival. And not only did they utilize information purchased by Trump's direct political rival, but Trump's direct political rival is linked in every single possible way to the origins of the investigation. That is dangerous, ladies and gentlemen, very dangerous. Because then you have a situation where the intelligence community was highly politicized. That's why it's good that Trump is getting his own director of national intelligence eventually. Now you have an acting director of national intelligence. He's getting his own director of national intelligence eventually. But Mike Pompeo is there at the State Department. This all took place at the State Department. The scene of the crime was the State Department. You cannot, I repeat, you cannot have private servers with top secret intelligence on them. Clinton had top secret and special access program intelligence on servers that were hacked by the entire planet. They made a complete and utter mockery of the intelligence community. And almost certainly the NSA and others knew that she had a server. Definitely President Obama did, because Cheryl Mills in the campaign email said, oh yeah, the president knows that she didn't have a state.gov. Of course he knew. Which one is it? President Obama was brilliant or he wasn't brilliant? By the way, check out my latest segment also on H.A. Goodman's other channel. I just uploaded one on how President Obama's administration did worse when it came to the issue of immigration. But much worse than Trump. And I explained that in my H.A. Goodman's other channel. And the links are, there's like New York Magazine, Los Angeles Times. But anyway, this is Paul Sperry. Lindsey Graham, acting head of Senate Judiciary Committee since January, just asserted on Hannity that there was systemic corruption at FBI and DOJ to rig investigation of Hillary to help her win and to frame Trump to cripple his campaign and presidency. Yet Graham's held not a single hearing. So that's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem. But you need, ladies and gentlemen, you need President Trump to win again, which he will. Clinton's going to run. When Clinton runs and she loses, when Clinton runs and loses, you're going to have a situation. How do I explain this? The whole thing was a setup. The whole thing was set up. Lindsey Graham knows. Everyone knows. John Durham knows. Everyone knows. The issue now is you have 4 FBI officials, Comey, McCabe. You have James Baker, who's under criminal investigation along with McCabe. You had Comey, who was leaked classified information. The IG said he broke laws. Then you have another official that Sarah Carter talked about. The issue with that is they're compiling a list of criminal behavior. It is an overarching, broad, sprawling investigation. John Durham is looking into a whole lot of things. It's good that there's a new Director of National Intelligence acting. It's also good that we know what the FBI 302s are regarding Victoria Nuland at the State Department. This is very important because what President Trump is now slowly uncovering all of this. He is slowly uncovering all of this. John Durham is slowly uncovering all of this. Clinton is running again. You need Clinton to run again for this paradigm, this political machine that spans not just from Bill and Hillary run the show, but they run a show that is composed of media, corrupt intelligence officials, a whole lot of people at the Justice Department. You had basically 16 years of a highly politicized, from Bush to President Obama, a highly politicized DOJ, and the way they politicized the U.S. government was that the Republicans under Bush, which are not Trump Republicans at all, because there's no such thing as a Trump Republican. There's a Trump, you could say, patriot or just American citizen who likes Trump, who happens to be a Republican, and guess what? There are even Democrats who like Trump. They're few and far between, but there are people who had been Democrats their whole life, like myself, who really like Trump. He's a great president. President Obama deported 3 million human beings. Okay, he was on pace also. I explained on H.A. Goodman's other channel that he was on pace he was on pace at this point deporting more people. Okay? So the issue now is you have a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where they're trying to create their own reality. What they do is they attribute Trump, they create Trump's words, they don't quote him accurately, then they utilize what they think he said and pretend that he said it. He never said both sides were equal, or most sides where there were fine people on the horrible side, Tiki Torch side. He never said that. He was not referring to the horrible people. He was referring to conservatives who wanted to keep a statue up. Big difference. Big difference. But media then just fomented the belief that he was actually referring to the horrible people. Okay? Never told people to send anyone back. He never used those words. He never used those words. It was in the context of a rude or uncouth political tweet. But what they do is they take it, they sensationalize it, they say, oh my God, the sky is falling. They create their own reality. Trump then worked with Russia. That's another, fantasy they created. He worked with Russia, oh my God, oh my God. And none of it took, the media is creating a reality that is not reality, then pointing to it and say Trump is the cause of all these horrendous atrocities. Meanwhile, President Obama presided not only over horrendous atrocities, but also destroyed Libya. And drank Flint water in an effort to deceive citizens. We can go on forever. But Clinton is a part of everything. My Federalist article, hopefully there's a new one that's coming out very soon that I can't wait to share with you. But read my Federalist article below that was shared by Rush Limbaugh. It's very, very important. All of the quote-unquote evidence is linked to Clinton. All of the quote-unquote evidence is linked to Clinton. So, Steele Dossier, CrowdStrike, Alexander Downer. Now we're finding out that the State Department was speaking to Glenn Simpson. Bruce Orr's wife, Nellie Orr, was working at Fusion GPS. If the tables were turned, you would have Vox, you would have Slate, you would have all of these publications. Oh my goodness, doing investigative journalism, uncovering everything. They're losing political influence, ladies and gentlemen. They're not going to win the 2020 election because all of this is not sustainable. And they have Clinton coming back. Clinton is running again. She's going to lose again. And Democrats are not going to realize what happened. It's going to be what happened 2 and then 3 because Clinton 2024, don't worry about it. It's happening. Clinton 2020 is definitely happening. Clinton 2024, very likely, I should say. Okay? Unless the Democrats are completely obliterated and then start over. But ladies and gentlemen, big news today. Big news by Judicial Watch. Huge news. Okay, you have a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where essentially Glenn Simpson was speaking to Clinton's press secretary at the State Department, essentially her press secretary, about the Steele dossier. Why? And why isn't Mueller didn't know? Isn't it interesting that Mueller did not know about Clinton? How is that even possible? How is it even, about Glenn Simpson? How is it even possible that Robert Mueller didn't know about Glenn Simpson? How is that even feasible? And if the tables were turned, if a special counsel was investigating Clinton and didn't know that the dossier used to start a probe of Clinton was outsourced by a guy named Glenn Simpson and the prosecutor that Trump helped set up, or that Trump's officials helped set up, said, oh, I don't know, who was that person that had something to do with Clinton's dossier? That's the reason we investigated her. Who was that person? Oh my God, they would be in disbelief. Look, what they're doing is not sustainable because they live on Twitter. They have a cyber reality and a media reality. It's not reality. Everything they say doesn't take place, okay? Different from when I said, like, most of the things that I talk about, Clinton losing the election, that happened. The Mueller probe leading to nothing, that happened. Clinton will eventually run again, that will happen. When I say things that didn't happen, whether it was Bernie Sanders winning the Democratic primary or Clinton being indicted, both of those things should have taken place. The Democratic primary was rigged. How do we know? Because Russia hacked the DNC to inform the country that Bernie Sanders was cheated. Okay, he was cheated. That's the whole DNC hack thing. That's why their emails were embarrassing, quote unquote, and that's why Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign. Then they had the insurance policy that Peter Strzok talked about when he said, "We will stop Trump." Now, Glenn Simpson, the guy who was hired by Clinton's attorneys, because she funneled money through her law firm, because that's the way the Clintons work. They don't buy anything. They don't take any bribes. They goes through the Clinton Foundation. And then they purchase a dossier through a law firm, because so there's plausible deniability. There's 6 degrees of separation. They say, oh, well, Glenn Simpson is the guy that we outsourced, and then he outsourced Christopher Steele, who was completely and highly focused on undermining Trump because he couldn't stand Trump. And oh, by the way, Glenn Simpson of Fusion GPS was speaking to one of the closest associates and advisors of Hillary Clinton. Isn't that convenient? Gee, she's running again. All of this was to pave the way for Clinton. Give me your thoughts below. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. Thank you so very, very much. If you want to support my voice long-term, my Patreon is below. Thank you. In the pinned comment.